So let's start the problems for chapter 1, and we'll start with number 19. I know I said I would do the even ones, but number 20 cites problem number 19, so let's look at 19 first. 19 says, let me highlight this, we're working on this one. 19 says to classify each example of molecular art as a pure element, a pure compound, or a mixture. So we got 4 examples of molecular art, and we want to know which one, is a pure element, which is pure compound, and which one is a mixture. So let's look at these 4 in turn. Before we answer this question, though, let's just understand what is inside these pictures. These little balls represent atoms. So let me write this over on the right hand side. This is number 19 we're looking at. And whenever you see pictures like this in the textbook with little particles, the balls are atoms. Now, later on, we'll talk about a little bit more about atoms and molecules and ions. And when you see more than one ball kind of attached together, like this one right here, that represents a molecule. Okay, so these are a bunch of balls stuck together. Don't worry about those terms yet, molecules, but that is a molecule. But here, just think of everything is a bunch of atoms here. And I see white atoms, and I see blue atoms, and black atoms in the middle there. Okay, and each different color represents a different type of atom. And if you read ahead in chapter 2, you'll see in figure 2.3, it tells us what the different color balls represent. And the white ones are hydrogen atoms, the black ones are carbon atoms, the blue ones are nitrogen atoms, and the red ones are, let me find red here. There we go, there's red. You'll see red ones too quite a bit, not in number 19, but you see it there in number 21. The red ones are oxygen atoms. Okay, now I point all these out because you're going to see these over and over again throughout this semester. Okay, so all of the balls are atoms, and these are the types of atoms they are. Now, to also help us answer this question, we need to know something about elements, compounds, and mixtures. Okay, so an element, an elemental substance, an element, has only one type of atom. An element is a substance where you see only one type of atom. A compound, let me highlight element actually. So elements are pink. A compound, going back to this color scheme right here, compounds are blue, and compound, you will see only one type of particle. And finally, a mixture. The problem is asking us about mixtures again. A mixture is when you will see more than one type of particle. So mixture. Okay, we'll color that green. More than one type of particle. Okay, if you want to know more about this sort of stuff, you can watch lectures. I think it's lecture 3. Lecture 3 explains these terms a little bit more. Okay, so watch lecture 3 for more information. Okay, let's get back to the problem. Now, what is this? Is this an element, a compound, or a mixture? Okay. Well, I see only one type of particle, and they are all white particles. So this satisfies the criteria of an element. Okay, it's only one type of atom in here. Okay, now you might say, well, it's only one type of particle, so maybe this is a compound. But if you have one type of particle and you know, it's one, they're all the same color, then this is an element. Okay, so that kind of narrows you down to an element. So I'm gonna write elements here because again, elements, you only have one type of atom. All you see are white atoms in there. Okay, let's go to B. Here, I see white atoms and black atoms, so it's definitely not an element. Okay, elements have to have all the same color atoms, but I see white ones and black ones. So this one's either a compound or a mixture. Well, a mixture, you see more than one type of particle. A compound, you only see one type of particle. So this is definitely a compound because all of these particles are the same. All right, later on, we'll identify what these particles are. It turns out that these are particles of CH4 because, you know, I see one carbon atom in there. It's attached to 4 hydrogen atoms in there. Okay, so we can give this a chemical formula, but we're going to do that later. We're not going to worry about that so much right now. Okay, but I'll just throw that out there for later. Okay, but this is a compound. Because again, it's not an element. You got hydrogen atoms and carbon atoms in there, but they're all the same type of particle. A mixture is what you have when you have more than one type of particle. And that's the situation for D and C. If you look at D and C, if you look at C, I see these 3 particles, they all look the same, and then you have those 2 particles look the same. So you got 2 types of particles. You got these, and then you got those. Okay, so this is a mixture. And then looking at D, this is also a mixture because you have these particles and you got those particles. Okay, so again, 2 types of particles. That's a mixture, more than one type of particle. So I'm going to label these as mixtures. Okay, and this is a mixture as well. Okay, so that answers problem number 19. Let's go to problem number 20. Let me highlight this one. Problem 20 asks which representations in problem 19 illustrate a mixture of 2 elements, which representations in problem 19 illustrate a mixture of a compound and an element. So number 20 is asking about the 2 mixtures. Which mixture is a mixture of 2 elements, and which mixture is a compound and an element. So we need to take a closer look at C and D. Okay, which one is a mixture of 2 elements, and which one is a mixture of a compound and an element? So 2 elements, and then which one is a compound and an element? Let's look at C first. Okay, looking at C, you got 2 components here. You got these guys over there, and then those guys. So let's look at these guys over here on the left first. Are these particles elemental particles, or are they compound particles? Okay, so when you have a mixture, the components of a mixture are either elements or compounds. Okay, so let's look at this component, these particles over here. These are elements because all I see are white atoms. Okay, so these particles are particles of an element, and I'll point those out. So this one, and that one. Those are elemental particles, but the other ones, those ones right here and there, these guys, I see white atoms and black atoms. So these 2 particles are compound particles because compound particles, are not element part. They have more than one type of atom. I should have said that over here on the right. More than one type of atom. More than one type of atom. Sorry about that. Okay, and so you can see that those are compound particles over here. Compound. All right, so C is a mixture of a compound and an element. When you're looking at D, you have these four particles. These are elemental particles because they're all white. And then those are elemental particles because they're all blue. So this mixture down here has an element on the left and an element on the right. So I'll just say these are an element, and I'll just kind of draw a circle around those, and then those over there are another element. Okay, I hope you understand that.